have a conversation for you, parents. I think that one of the toughest jobs anyone can have is to raise children. And today we wanted to have a conversation around raising children with different personalities, which is more likely to happen than not. If you have more than one child, chances are they are of different personalities. You'll have introverts, you'll have extroverts, you'll have children that are more outgoing than others. And so how do you navigate raising those children in the same home, making sure they are all feeling loved, seen, and heard?
Each child, however different, is normal.
Yeah.
And so they need to be respected.
Yeah.
They don't have to be like, and I'm praying that none of us says to a child, why don't you be like? Because they are different.
Welcome back to Reality Check. We are glad that you are back again with us this week for another hopefully inspiring conversation. We're coming to you from Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center, located here in Kamocha at Total Energies, right opposite Acacia Mall. So if you're in the area, if ever you're looking for a place to just sit and work, but also enjoy some healthy smoothies, juices, come across some really good supplements for your journey, your health journey, then this is the place for you. My name is Rachel. I'm joined by Dr. Evas, who is the founder of International Center for Mental Health and Family Care. She's also a trained therapist, a life coach, marriage coach, parenting coach. So if those are areas that you need support in, she is your person. Just simply take advantage of the contacts on your screen and make that appointment for you to get the support that you need. Like I said, we're coming to you from Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center. Part of what they offer here are supplements that are tried and tested. I say that from experience, and I'm sure Dr. Evas as well will speak a bit about that. With us, we have toothpaste, Dr. TS toothpaste, I think that's how it's pronounced. And this is perfect for you if you have bleeding gums, if you struggle with cavities, bad breath, you want a whiter and brighter smile. This is the product for you. So make sure you come by, get yourself one, or maybe call and have it delivered to you. Since it's still Women's Month, maybe. If it's not, I think every month should be Women's Month. This is wonderful for every woman if you want to sustain good vaginal health. So if you struggle with UTIs, you struggle with all sorts of infections, candida, that sort of thing, this is the product for you to use and just keep that place healthy. And then for you that is dealing with diabetes and everything that comes with that condition, these are tea bags that are recommended for you, and they will support you on your journey as you deal with this lifestyle illness. So there you have it, and this is just a few of the many supplements that are available right here at the Coffee Wellness Center, Suma Coffee and Wellness Center. So do come by if you're looking to be healthier in the year 2025. This is the spot for you. But today we have another conversation, like I mentioned, and we are enjoying a healthy smoothie. This is one of my favorite smoothies. It has peanut butter, it has banana, and I think some oats. Yogurt and oats. So Dr. Evas has oats. Healthy smoothies, but also taste really yummy. Welcome, Dr. Evas.
Thank you so much.
You are in a very good mood today.
I am.
I want to ask why. We might be here all day. I'm good. I'm good. So we have a conversation for you, parents. I think that one of the toughest jobs anyone can have is to raise children. And today we wanted to have a conversation around raising children with different personalities, which is more likely to happen than not. If you have more than one child, chances are they are of different personalities. You'll have introverts, you'll have extroverts, you'll have children that are more outgoing than others. And so how do you navigate raising those children in the same home, making sure they are all feeling loved, seen, and heard? And so that's the focus of our conversation today. So welcome aboard. Share this episode with someone, like, subscribe, do all of those things, and then come back with your notebook, your smoothie and coffee, and sit back because there's a lot you're going to learn from the show today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you, Rachel.
So children with different personalities, raising children with different personalities. Maybe a good starting point would be how early do children start exhibiting, different personality traits? I guess what should a parent be looking for and at what age? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start from the statement you made, parenting being the most difficult job, but also most fulfilling job.
True.
Yeah. And it gives us its responsibility with joy. But it's also a scary undertaking. Mm-hmm. It freaks us out, especially when we are told we are responsible for the future of the children. It is so scary, and so it's not uncommon to hear parents say, children of these days, children, I've actually always joked about the new parent we are talking about, called these days.
These days, yes.
So it is absolutely scary, and so we want to be sure that we do a good job. Secondly, it's the joy of every parent to ensure that, we desire to see our children turn out, isn't it?
Yes.
Turn out okay. Mm-hmm. And we can. But on that note, I want to remind parents who are listening that parenting is a skill. So part of the information we are sharing is so we don't just think that being a mother or being a father is going to just grant you the skills to parent. You can be a mother and a father, but not a good parent. Mm-hmm. And good parenting is about skilled parenting.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's skill. It is skill, and every skill is learned. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm happy that we are having this conversation. Yeah. You asked personality. Mm-hmm. When do we tell?
What kind of personality your child is going to have?
Yes. So number one, we just have to know that every individual is different. Mm-hmm. We are all different. So in case I forget it as we get into the deeper conversation, let me just remind parents that every human being is different. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't pay attention to those differences, so we get a child that, because parenting is hard, we get a child that is easier to manage or to train. Then we say, why don't you be like? Compare. So we are different, so I want also to mention that when we say personality, we are talking about the unique individual traits of a person, of a child in this case. Individual, unique, please note the key word is unique. We are all unique, we are different, but we are all normal. So every child is normal, but they can be different and unique. When do you notice that they are different? At an early age, usually between 18 to 24 months, so we are talking about 1.5 years to 2 years, you're going to be seeing the differences. But part of the psychology, also those who pay attention to so much detail, also talks about when we are still pregnant. As mothers, they say a child that is very, we call them social butterflies, they tend to play more. I don't know, so many theories, but clearly when we are parenting, between the age of 1.5 to 2 years, we are able to see the differences between around the unique traits of a child. Yeah.
Okay. And so maybe let's talk about the personalities, because I think there's so many conversations around personalities. Are they simply just introvert and extrovert? Do we have the sanguines, and there's all these terms that I would like for you to break down for our audience in terms of what personality traits, what personalities exist for human beings.
Okay, so when we say personalities, let me begin there. When we say personalities, I've talked about an individual's unique traits. But these unique traits Um, again, science indicates that unique traits are a result of nature and nurture.
Correct.
But also unique traits which are heritable, which run through the genes. Very important. We need to see something that runs through the genes, but also environmental. So those two categories. So in terms of this, I mentioned already that these are unique individual traits.
Yeah.
And I'm going to break them down for our audience to understand. Science indicates that between 30 and 60% of the traits we have are heritable. They run through the genes.
The genes, yes.
And so the other part is added by the environment that nurtures us.
Okay.
So nature and nurture.
Okay.
This should help parents to know that some of the things that children will exhibit, some of the elements that or traits that they will exhibit, they are going to be related. They are going to be inherited from them themselves. As a matter of fact, these traits run through generations, and so we always, according to psychology, they are inherited from our three sets of parents. So parents, they are immediate parents, but also grandparents on both sides. So your paternal parents as well as maternal parents. Now let me explain this a little bit. You see, have you seen children and say, "Oh my God, this child looks like their grandfather or grandmother"?
Yes.
That we are talking about body.
Yes.
You know, bodily characteristics. But then we have to know that even behavior, we inherit things from our parents and grandparents.
Yeah.
So our three sets of parents, they influence our heritable characteristics. And then the rest is nurture.
Yeah.
Now, why am I emphasizing this? I'm emphasizing it because sometimes children, they show behavior, they manifest behavior or traits that irritate us as parents.
Yes.
But you don't know that they are just mirroring you and me. You see, they could be just now because you have grown. Most of the time, as adults, we don't even know ourselves. But even when we know ourselves, we have to know that probably those are things you were doing when you were young, and because of nurture, you have probably unlearned them.
Those things. Yes.
But then now you want to kill this child because they are behaving. So some of the children actually are behaving like us, or the younger version of us, or even the older version of us. But because we can't tolerate ourselves, then you're going to be very harsh to the child.
Yeah.
So let me go to what you asked me, Rachel. Four categories of personalities.
Yes.
4 categories of personalities. The first one are what you mentioned, the social butterflies. We call them sanguines.
Yes.
Sanguines are very, very relational. Children who are very relational, even when they are young, very outgoing. Extremely outgoing. They even when they are young, they accept. They don't reject people. You know, when we try to get a child and carry them, and they refuse. But right from the start, these ones are very, very relational.
Yes.
Very, very relational. And actually, the word for them in science is relationship-oriented. Children, they love to make friends. They want to connect. Connection is very important for them. And when they are so little, they need more attention because they love connection, even at an early age. And so this is the group that is number one. They want to connect with everyone. They want to deal with everyone. They will go to you for attention if you do deny them attention when they are little.
Yeah.
Now, when they grow a bit, they go to school or they start interacting with people, you'll hear a lot of, this one is my friend, this one is my friend, because they love relationships. They love to connect. They are energized by relationships, and they tend to be really, really nice to people. They want to everyone to accept them. They tend to be compassionate and caring. It comes natural. We are talking about some of the things that come natural, because when we talk about heritable elements, 60%, that's big. So you need to know that this comes natural, our natural inclinations or typical behavior.
Yeah.
And so they tend to do that. Now they are good. They are quick to apologize if they made a mistake, because remember, they are relationship oriented. You see, they need a lot of affirmation. You see, they need a lot of affirmation, and any parent who has such a child, just know, because when they put on something, they go like, "Mommy, see," and also see, and you're also going to get a lot of "Mommy, see" in all the other things, because they love to be accepted and validated, and more than any other child that I'm going to talk about. And I said that, yeah, they are quick to mend relationships in case something happens. But parents, on the flip side of it, these kind of children, I said that they need attention. If we are not careful, if we do not give them a lot of validation here and affirmation, they are going to have a void. So they're going to require it from other people, other sources. Yeah. And so as parents, we need to make sure that we give that. Every child needs that, but this particular one requires more than any other.
Okay.
You see? So if they don't get it, they tend to need it from the world. So you've had even younger children complain that this person is an attention seeker. So give them attention, otherwise they're going to be an attention seeker. If they get sufficient attention, then they won't struggle so much. You see? Secondly, they also tend to, they can run a risk of not observing boundaries or defining boundaries in relationships. Remember, they love attention, they love people, they want to be around people, and if they are not helped to manage that, they can just go through life just relating without boundaries, and that can affect them. They tend to be hurt more, because if they go, they're making relationships, that's okay, but they need to stand up on their feet at a certain point, step back and say, no, you've treated me bad. So they need to be taught how to mark their space, how to not allow, respect other people's boundaries as well, and so that they can have healthy relationships. This group tends to be very expressive. Actually, they are called the expressive children. And because in being expressive, there is also, they are conversational. Again, they need to receive attention in that area. They need to receive conversation, but they also need to be taught how to listen. You see, because this group doesn't struggle with what to say. They struggle with keeping quiet. So if you're not careful, this child can talk forever. And so an opportunity for a parent to teach them, okay, talk, but also allow other people to talk. You see? So that is important. When they grow up with that kind of balanced view of life, remember the weaknesses I'm talking about, they also come natural. They come natural. And that's why, if you recall, parenting contributes 80% shaping, nurturing. Nurturing, 80% parenting. So we have to take advantage of this window to teach them how to listen, how to and I mean, they are very empathetic.
Yeah.
They tend to be very empathetic, but teach them to listen, to give up permission to another person to talk,
Yeah.
you know, because they love to dominate conversation. And they are very happy people. They love to serve. They love to give. This is the group that gives because they are very caring. I think I have some.
I feel like you're describing yourself. I didn't want to be the one to point it out. But
I also have them in my generation. But these are children that are going to give of everything. Sure. They can easily give out everything. These are children that can give out their sweaters, they give their lunch, although their break, their snack, and they remain with nothing. So again, teaching them how to balance, give but also remain with something. Yeah. You see, and because of that, because they are relationship oriented, they are also easily manipulatable. Yes. You see how the world is very. Yes. They can easily get manipulated and taken advantage of because they. I mean, children.
They're nice.
Yeah, they are nice. And because when a child realizes that this person loves to be friends with me, they can easily say, if you don't give me your snack, then I'm not going to be your friend. So make sure that you teach them not to be prone to manipulation. Yeah. You know, they have to learn to define boundaries, to express their needs and all, not to be desperate for relationships. Yes. Yeah, they need to have healthy relationships, not in desperation. So that's category number one. They are called the sanguines. Amazing human beings. Amazing. They really are. Very, very generous, very charitable, but again, they need to manage that and be a balanced person. Some of us probably found ourselves in that world, and we've had to learn a hard way. Any person that identifies with this, we are talking about children, but someone can go through as an adult, up to adulthood, and they are still dealing with some of those things. People pleasing, a lack of boundaries, they don't know when to give and when to hold back. They are being taken advantage of. They are talking and they don't know when to keep quiet. So maybe these are relatable elements even in adults. So very important for us to pay attention to that. The second category are the ones we call the cholerics. Cholerics are achievement oriented. You see, achievement oriented. Achievement oriented also they have a lot of energy. They are natural leaders. Cholerics. They are natural leaders. You'll see them everywhere, even when they are little. Every time they are in a group of children, they are always asking, ordering people. They have a high deposit of leadership skills compared to others. And very expressive. These two, I chose to start with these two, and I'll tell you why. These two are the expressive and so extroverted. Sure. You see, because I hear introverted and extroverted. But you need to break it down. Now, these cholerics, they are they love friendships, but they love to control. Yeah, they love to control. So they will have their major desire in a relationship is what to control and who I can control. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Which is, I called it a natural ability for leadership, but you have to teach them to manage it in a nice way. They are very expressive, they speak truth, they have so much energy. These are children who you don't have to supervise so much. Yeah. Now, it reminds me of the first category, one of the things I missed, that the first category, which is sanguine, the friendly, the relational, they tend to have a challenge with finishing assignments because they get easily distracted. That's it. You see? Yeah. That category, the first one, please don't confuse it. The sanguines, the relational, the all, they have a challenge with attention, following through, focusing, they easily get distracted. The person who says, let's go, let's play, they can easily go. But this other one, the cholerics, they are achievement focused. They will do their work, they will finish it, right? They are naturally energized. You see, they don't need a lot of motivation. They are self-motivated. They tend to have a high sense. They need a bit of motivation, but they are not desperate for motivation. They easily follow through, get their work done because they are energized by achievement.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in terms of relationships, they tend to be less empathetic. Because they tend to be more focused on me. See me, I can achieve, I can achieve.
Yeah.
You see? And so they tend to be more self-centered in terms of the way they relate. They are not thinking so much about another person. And I told you they are expressive, but then they don't express in a sensitive manner. They tend to be sensitive about themselves. But then they don't get sensitive on how another person feels. They are not feeling oriented. The first one is feeling oriented and relational. This one is achieve. You see, now when they grow up without being helped to balance, their favorite vehicle becomes a bulldozer, so they can easily bulldoze everyone. And these are the people that they get quite manipulative later on in relationships if you do if it is not nurtured and tamed. And then they are helped to know, okay, if you're going to say something, please consider how someone is going to feel. Very, very important. So they need to be taught empathy and compassion. Compassion and empathy don't come natural to them. No, it doesn't come natural to them. So parents need to assist them. And I'll give you an example. When you have a child who is a high achiever, for instance, it can be a younger child, and usually let's say the second born, then the older child is a type that doesn't finish their work, or is this quiet and peaceful one. This one is very active. Now the younger one, who is choleric, control, and achievement focused, it's not uncommon for them to go to their sibling and say, what's wrong with you? Why can't you finish your work? Hey! Laugh at them and belittle them. And in most cases, when the child is younger than the older one they are belittling, it can be so bad. And I always encourage parents, please teach this child to succeed in a regulated manner. I don't know whether that says it well. Succeed, but with humility. That is
in consideration of
others. Don't just condescend on your siblings, and don't allow them to do that. Now, most of the time, because they are achievement focused, they don't need so much attention from parents. They say, no, I've finished. Where's your homework? It's here. It's done. So parents tend to gravitate towards these children because they don't need a lot of supervision. They can get things done on their own. And so it's also not uncommon for parents to go to these children as a team, and they condescend on this other person who is struggling. My friend from my personality type, did I tell you that the first one is my personality type? Easily distracted, not following through, like all that. So it is very, 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 very important that parents don't join into that. And you use this child against others, because it can be very demoralizing for a child who is struggling, being instructed by their sibling, either older, even if they are older, it's bad. It's not good. So helping this child. Parents need to help the child to learn humility. You see, humility, compassion, conscience, and empathy. This has to be taught nicely. Now, such children, when they grow up without this behavior regulated, these are the people you hear say, but I told him the truth. I told her that truth. But you see, their truth is not covered with grace.
Yeah.
So they can grow up with this blatant,
Is it a God complex?
yeah, that demeanor that doesn't have any grace. And they have a gift of speaking truth. You know, again, they are gifted at speaking truth. You know, speaking truth is a gift. But you see, a truth that redeems requires grace. So if such a child grows, being told how great, because you know it's natural for them to say, see me, see me. Now, if a parent doesn't help these children to regulate that, they grow up knowing they are the boss. They are the boss. And they're going to go through the world telling the world, see, I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss. Now, a parent has to help them to regulate that.
Yeah.
I would also tell you that that personality has challenges with failure. They don't know how to manage failure because they are achievement focused. When they fail, remember they don't have a natural sense of humility. They don't know how to say, oh, I failed here. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What can I do better? Because if they are not helped, they really can struggle with pride. Now, if you do not help them, they can crash when they fail.
Wow.
Right? So help them. As a parent, you need to check with them, help them to swallow their pride sometimes, because we all need to do. Remember, I can't stop reminding parents that when we are parenting, we are nurturing an adult. We are not nurturing a child, we are nurturing an adult. So we need to project and say, if this child continues with this kind of behavior, how will it turn out to be? Now, later on again, if they become leaders, remember they have a natural leadership ability that needs to be tamed. Reminds me of the story of Joseph. You remember Joseph? Yes, at the age of 17, when he came on those dreams, remember the dreaming. You see, you guys, I dreamt that you're all going to, bow down to me. And what is that? The dream came. It was going to pass, and clear it was from the Lord. But come on, how are you managing it?
Your older brothers.
Yeah, you're telling your older brothers.
You guys are going to
bow down to me. Did you know that? The Lord spoke to me.
Yeah.
Now, that is something that we need to teach children. Even when you get a dream, come on, don't crush other people because you have a dream.
Yeah.
So it is so important for us as parents to help a child manage. That's why we talk about success management. Teach them how to manage this. You see, how to manage that. Now, sometimes when they grow up, I keep talking about growing up because parenting, we are nurturing that's the end goal. You've seen leaders in positions who give feedback. They can give feedback to their subordinates, but in a way that doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help. It is see. So this child, remember, maybe I've emphasized the negative side more than the positive, but just to tell the parents, number one, they are great children. They are self-driven, highly self-driven, strong-willed. They can communicate anything. They can easily tell you anything on their hearts. They don't express it. But remember, they also need to be validated. They are sensitive to. You have to see, because if they are achieving, please pay attention to what they are getting. Don't wait until they failed on something and you say, "What's wrong with you? You are what?" I've had parents who ask children. Such children can score 90%, and 90, let's say 98. The next time they get 90, a parent will ask, "What happened? Where did you put the 8?" Yeah. And such a child can easily crash because they don't want to be associated with failure. So please keep supporting them. If they are discouraged, tell them it's normal. It's normal for you to achieve this, and the next time, where do you think you fail? Give them the kind of support that is going to help them to keep healthy, rather than crush them until but also don't use them against
the other children. Yes.
Yeah, and then of course nurture their polish. Maybe that's the right word. Polish their leadership abilities. Make sure that you engage them in things that challenge them. These children need challenge because they love to achieve. They love to achieve. Give them good, challenging tasks, and please acknowledge what they have done, validate them, and give them a kind of validation that is healthy and balanced. Sometimes I remember other things when I continue on another. The third category of personality are the melancholies. Melancholic children are quiet. So remember I told you the first category sanguines, the second category cholerics. They are the expressive and loud and energetic, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They are just normal. They are different from others. But the melancholic children, these are slow to warm up, very cool, and there's nothing wrong with them.
Okay.
Yeah? They are amazing, they are quiet, they are called detail-oriented, they are analytical, very analytical. For such children, there is always a why behind every word. So they tend to they are gifted in detail. They pay attention to detail, and they tend to gravitate towards careers that are detail-oriented. Sciences, maths, finance, and all, those that don't require so much talking. Now, when they are still young, we are also going to see them thrive more in science subjects. You see, I've seen, interestingly, I have all personalities.
Really?
And we've seen them. Yeah, we've seen them. For instance, when we shared about, we hosted both our twins, Zeli was always, Nyangoma was always the pay attention to detail. She's a combination of melancholy and choleric. So we always have a primary personality and secondary personality. You remind me to tell parents that we don't have one who is purely 100% one, so they can have other elements. But her primary personality is melancholic. So she pays attention to detail. They tend to handle so much detail, and they very analytical, and they don't usually have so many friends. Yeah, they can have one friend, but they'll be faithful to that friend. And because they are very analytical, they analyze everything, including friendships, relationships. So they will always go like, is this, and because they approach everything from a perfect standpoint, so it can be a problem because they always are looking at, is this person perfect?
Are they genuine?
Genuine and all. Again, because that is an important element which probably the sanguine doesn't have.
I have 10 friends.
I have 10 friends. I can have the 11th and up to 30. I can meet people for the first time and they are my greatest friends. And that's okay. But it's not so with this personality. Now, I want to emphasize this to parents. The fact that this one has one personality doesn't mean they are twisted, they are not normal, there is something wrong with them. No, they are okay. They are good, they are okay, but they are just different. You see, they don't know how to deal with noise. Even in the workplace, they don't know how to, when they grow up, they don't know how to deal with noise. Now, how is that important? When you as a parent, you're dealing, because they tend to be quiet and analytical. Right? Very, very analytical, very logical. They ask, you're going to hear some logical statements. Why is this like that? Why is that like this? a melancholic child.
Trait, yeah.
They come from the perfect world.
Yeah.
They want to perfect things. Now, because of that, they love to do things in great detail. They also tend to follow through on tasks.
Okay.
You see, they are motivated by perfection.
Okay.
Right? I haven't called them
Perfectionists.
No, I haven't called that. But
Yeah.
perfection is important. They love structure. They love order and structure. So as a parent, you need to know. You don't just wake up and say, "Oh, let's just go and swim." I go like, no,
Why?
but I had
wanted to
I had
stay.
wanted, and parents don't respect this. They say, "Let's go! Don't tell me your English or whatever." It is important to know that a child who is this personality, you have to alert them, you have to do this.
Prepare
and should
them.
you have something that comes up that doesn't have structure, then communicate it to them.
Yeah.
Pay attention to their concern. Tell them, oh, yes, I know, but do you think you can make some changes? Because I hadn't thought about this, it just occurred to me, and we can do it. But if you don't want to do it, it is okay. Their structure is important to this person because they are not disorganized. They don't want to just say, oh, we go, then they go. And it starts early. You'll see them.
Yeah.
You'll see them. So it's very important for us as parents to know that we need to approach this category very well. Now, downside is that these don't usually express. So this kind of child can easily get depressed without a parent knowing what's going on. Yeah?
Because they're not expressive.
The first ones which I talked about, you're picking them from school, they go like, "Mommy, this one did this one did this one." But this particular one, you'll just see them shut down because they approach life from the standpoint of life should be perfect, should be structured, it should be okay.
And so if it's not, then
And if it is not, they get destabilized
Yeah.
and they get frustrated. They easily get frustrated. So it's very important for a parent to check in. Is this okay? And not just to pick them from school and ask, "How was school?" Then this one is likely to say,
School was
"Fine."
fine.
They don't even add school. They say, "Fine."
So that should tell you that you need to dig deeper.
So there are certain questions that a parent needs to ask such a child because they don't easily communicate or open up.
Yeah.
For instance, if they say fine, there are certain questions parents need to ask. For instance, who treated you well? How was your teacher? Who was so kind to you?
Yes.
Anyone unkind to you? What made you happy? What made you sad? Simple things that help this child to open up. Now, accordingly, we are seeing that children from this personality type, and indeed even adults, they tend to suffer depression more than any other personality. Two reasons for this. Number one, they are highly analytical.
Yes.
And so sometimes they can analyze life out of the will of God. Secondly, they don't know how to deal with disappointment. I did tell you that they don't know how to manage imperfection. In fact, some theorists are so unkind to them, they say they don't have space in this imperfect world.
Which is sad.
Which is so sad. So again, as parents, we need to teach them how to fall. You see, we need to teach
And
children
be
how
okay.
and be okay.
Yeah.
We call it developing a growth mindset. So if you have failed here, what was the reason? What happened? What can you do better? Can you just get out of that life must be perfect kind of situation? And by the way, if they are not taught how to fall, I always use the example of whenever we are teaching children bike riding. Yeah, we first put learners
The extra cycle.
so they do that, and then we remove them, and then they fall down. But anyone that has taught a child how to ride a bike, you know that they will fall today, fall tomorrow, and the third day they are okay.
Yeah, okay.
So it's the same thing we need to know to do for all children, but especially melancholies. Because these ones, they don't know failure. To fail somewhere, to them means they are a failure.
In total.
Yeah. So if they are not helped to know that the world is not perfect, they can score low and still be okay, they are going to be horribly demoralized, demotivated, and they can lose it. And most of them, they get depressed. They get depressed. Now, why is it important to teach them to manage failure and adapt to different things? It's because the world is full of ups and downs, different seasons. You know, they can succeed. They can actually succeed at academics. And then a parent is celebrating, oh, my child, if they don't get 100, they get 99, then we say, what has happened? Because for them, they are perfect, they do it. But they're going to fail in relationships if we don't help them to know that there's a place called imperfection.
Yes.
You see? Yeah. And they can also carry that kind of mindset and demeanor to all relations, to the workplace, to, you know, I remember one time I was talking to someone from one of the companies we support. The guy came and said, for him, he doesn't know how to work with other people, with noisy people. You see? He said, no, I can't stand them. I can't, what's wrong with them? And I was teaching him that. I was showing him that we are all different. So instead of judging people, and they tend to also be very judgmental. Yeah. Instead of judging people so harsh, why don't you benefit from the beauty
of our differences,
the diversity that they bring to the team? And they said, I can't stand them. They are terrible. So you need to teach them tolerance.
Yes.
Yes, they need to study to be tolerant of other people, accommodative of other people. That is the personality. The fourth and last one. These are called melancholies. No, phlegmatics. Phlegmatics are the warm and quiet. They come into this world looking for peace.
They're like a melancholies, perfection and peace.
Yes, so they love peace. They are looking for peace, and peace has to be availed. You see? Now they are very carefree, they are peaceful, they are loyal. Loyal. Now every parent loves a loyal child.
Absolutely.
They don't question. Can you come and do this? Yes, mommy.
What mommy wants, mommy gets.
They are very caring.
Yeah.
They care for their siblings. They do this without complaining. They are just wonderful, wonderful people. And peace, everyone seeks after the peace. Yeah, they are the most sought after item in every group, because the world, everywhere, even in the workplace, even in marriage, you'll hear the most chaotic person
with the flag,
with a very peaceful flag, and they'll keep talking about how this flag gives them peace, but how they can't give them peace.
That is so interesting.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And so flags are wonderful everywhere. But as a parent, we get unbelievably
frustrated?
No, unbelievably attracted to them. Because they give us peace. Yes, they give us peace. They are not, even when they are failing, they are peaceful. You see? But, so let me first talk about them, the flags. The beauty of flags, number one, is that they bring peace. Number two is that they care. They care so much. They can, we have one in the family. When she was little, one time she was sleeping in their room. She was 9, and her little sister was 3. But at 3, we had her knock on the door and say, Mommy and Daddy, so-and-so is running a fever. Really? Can you imagine? That's how she was. Wow. And that's how she's in the night. So they are very caring. They come with a high natural sense of care and compassion. Amazing relation of people.
Yeah.
Please note that the first one I started with, the melancholic, and now the phleg, they tend to be quiet and peaceful. You see, but this one is peaceful. This one is very peaceful. They hate conflict, and you'll always hear them say, "Why can't you stop fighting?"
You get
Because we all communicate our personality. Why can't you? Why are you fighting? Why don't you stop fighting? Now, because they are peaceful. So they are amazing, and again, we love them as parents. But some of the areas we need to pay attention to. Number one, to teach them to speak up and to do what we call self-advocacy. You see, because this is the group that easily gets manipulated.
That's true.
Because peace.
People think peace over self-advocacy. Yes.
So everyone, even in the workplace, they can easily get manipulated because people think peace, you can't get angry.
You're not going to say
you
anything.
can just take in everything. So they need to be taught how to speak up and self-advocate. Number two, they have a challenge with risk-taking because they hate anything that is going to interfere with peace, and risk-taking takes away peace. Yes. So it is very important for parents to teach them to take risks.
Yeah.
They also have a challenge with decision making because they can easily listen to parents and take every instruction, and in the process they don't know how to speak back or communicate their need, not speak back, but to communicate their need, and probably unlike the one I talked about, the melancholics who will say why. Now you'll not get a why from a phleg.
Yeah.
The phlegs will just, okay, mommy, okay, daddy. So they can now, if they continue on that trajectory, they can be poor decision makers because they always wait for someone to give them instruction. Even in marriage, even in the workplace, they can just, as long as they get oriented towards someone who is going to tell them what to do. So if they are not helped, they can continue like that.
Yeah.
You see, which other one in terms of areas for improvement?
Non-confrontational.
Conflict.
Yes.
Conflict management. Again, because they always gravitate towards peace. They don't know how to get into conflict, especially active conflict. So they don't know how to get into peaceful conflict resolution, but confrontational, where you need to confront situations, speak up, speak truth in love. They can go like, yeah,
it's okay,
in the interest of peace. And this happens in a great deal.
Yeah.
And we've seen peaceful phlegs in marriages being abused because they don't know how to confront situations. So there is healthy confrontation of situations. There is healthy setting of boundaries, and these ones don't have a natural gift. So parents have to nurture it. You see, they have to build on their nature to help them. Very, very easily manipulatable. So these are some of the elements that have to happen. But can I remind parents that each child, however different, is normal.
Yeah.
And so they need to be respected.
Yeah.
They don't have to be like, and I'm praying that none of us says to a child, why don't you be like? Because they are different. They are different, and those differences need to be respected, highly respected, because they are all normal.
Yeah.
And no personality is superior to the other.
True.
No. True. And we have to help their children know that they are different, but they are not superior. No. A peaceful person is wonderful, but it doesn't mean that an expressive person is weird.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean. And I've had sometimes adults look at her and say, what's wrong with you? Why do you talk too much? Why do you love too much? No, they are just different. So you need to look for beauty in every person and nurture. I hope I've explained.
And I think even given parents an opportunity to determine where their children lie. As you were speaking, I was thinking about Micah, I was thinking about myself. I'm like, I'm definitely there. I'm definitely core phlegmatic, and I'm part phleg, part melancholic. Also just thinking about my son. So I hope that as parents, as you watch, you're taking notes and saying, okay, this is where my first child is, this is where my second child is, because it helps to know how to treat them. You mentioned something about genetics and environment. I want you to quickly comment on that and in how it plays a role in shaping a child's personality.
Okay. Yeah, so look, so as I've said, genetics, they take up between 30 to 60% of a person's traits. But then the remaining part is nurtured. And that remaining part nurtured, when we talk about nurturing, number one, we have to help a child unlearn the natural negatives.
And reinforce the positives.
You see? Yeah. So, for instance, let me use an example of the cholerics. Cholerics who don't have natural grace, or naturally they don't have grace. Grace and empathy, they don't come natural. They will speak things, they're not sensitive to how someone feels, they're only sensitive to themselves. So supposing just leave them to continue.
Yeah.
So the environment, what we talk about environment is about the nurturing. What are they seeing? How do they see you behave? And how do they also, how are you teaching them? How are you speaking, parents? Silence. Absence and silence are killing children.
Yes.
They continue like that on the journey of life, and they believe this is how life has to be. Like it's normal. I just speak to people, they crash, but I don't even pay attention to know how they are feeling, and I'll continue. That's why personalities like narcissism, this is how we continue. Yes. For instance, in fact, I didn't tell you that this challenge, we get it more from children with a personality that is choleric. Yeah, life is about me.
Their natural disposition is already about them.
Yes, the natural disposition is about me. Me. So how do you help this child to get over themselves? How do they get accommodative of other people? How do you nurture their natural strength, but help them to balance it with grace? You see? Now, if they continue on that journey without you nurturing and creating an environment where they can treat people well, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? You're going to have bad relationships. You're going to have people who are ever introducing them. Me, that's who I am. Me, we don't apologize. I've ever given a gift to a child. To be honest with you, this was like years back. I bought a gift to a child, and they picked it. And then they didn't say thank you. Then the parent, very aggressive child, and then the parent said to her then, and said, you didn't say sorry, brother, you didn't say thank you. And then she said, the child just stood like this and went on. And then she called her, come and say sorry. She said, me, I don't say sorry. We're talking about a child about 8 years.
No way.
8 years. And then the mom said, us, the Vachiga,
reinforcing.
We are not soft. That's not true. You can have a natural disposition of harshness and aggression and all, but this can be
tamed.
It can be tamed. It can be nurtured. Softness can be nurtured. What is softness? Just teach people to consider others. You know, after all, that's what Scripture says. Consider others more
better than yourself.
Yeah. How do you help a child to see things from another person's standpoint? How do you teach them to be sensitive, to feel for others? You know, to have that kind of empathetic outlook to life. Those are tamed. So,
They're taught.
yes, they are taught. So, while someone can be born with this, we can help them to learn, to unlearn, but also to learn.
True.
Yeah, they can unlearn, they can also
learn. That's very true. So let's talk through the parenting, especially where conflict is concerned. If a parent is out there and they're watching, they have maybe say 3 children, 2 of them are, maybe one is melancholy, the other one is sanguine, the other one is choleric. There's bound to be clashes with the 2 children. How can parents handle that kind of dynamic? How do they stay positive? How do they stay encouraging without making one feel less than the other? So how do they handle conflict? Because conflict is bound to happen with different personalities.
They do. So number one, to make sure that as a parent you're neutral. You're not taking sides with any personality, because as I told you, it's also natural for parents to take sides because it's easier here.
Yes. The quieter one seems like the well-behaved.
Yes, the quiet one is well-behaved. Also, the expressive can be well-behaved. And so we need to take a neutral position to know that all those children are beautiful in their own right, but they all need help. They all need support. So there is no person that is born as a finished product.
That's true.
You see, there's no child that is a finished product. We just need to know that every child's areas of strength need to be celebrated and reinforced, but the negatives, they can also be helped to unlearn them. So neutrality, but also willingness to face the challenge in dealing with certain things that come natural. As I've told you, there are parents who give up on children.
Yeah.
That one looks like their grandfather may have given up. This one, I don't know what. Most of the time they say they look like their spouse.
Yes.
I don't give birth to those indisciplined. That's not true. Whether they look like your spouse or they look like their grandfather or grandmother, it's your role now to nurture.
Yeah.
What would you want them to learn? And maybe to encourage parents to know that we all have capacity to unlearn and to learn. Right? So don't give up. Yeah. Don't give up on your child. I've ever challenged a parent. They said, me, I've sent this child to the world. I said, which world? Which one? The world has their own children.
That's true.
You see? So don't send them to the world.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is your child. This is not a child of these days. They are your child. We have to chase these days out of our families. Seriously, honestly.
This is taking our children.
Because that's how we give up and say, this child is impossible. Now these days, no. Internet and all. No. Teach consistently. Teach graciously. Teach. That's why scripture in Proverbs, is it 22:6, which talks about train up a child
in the way
they should go. And I love that the second part, and when they are old,
yes, they will not depart
from it. It doesn't say when they are still young. It doesn't say when they are 12. It doesn't say when they are 18. Scripture says when they are old. Why? Because that's a deposit. You put a deposit. So every time I've learned that life is about a seeds. So you put a seed of that behavior in the child. It might not sprout now. It will sprout when they are old. You see, when they are old, you see why we should focus on the wider picture.
On the wider picture, yes.
Because it's when we are parenting an adult.
Yeah.
So when they are old, they will not turn away. So don't give up as a parent. Don't say this child is impossible. Focus. But also as a parent, Rachel, I mentioned it earlier. Check where they could be getting this from. Probably they are playing the younger version of you.
Yeah.
So if they are playing the younger version of you, there is hope. If you have overcome some of those things,
You can go refer to what you did.
this child can also get over
Yeah.
it. So let's not give up on any child. So a parent needs to know that the differences are real and they need to enjoy the differences. You can't have children who are exactly the same. The world, we don't have people who are exactly the same. Otherwise, God is a God of
Variety.
Yes, variety and diversity.
Yeah.
And so enjoy your children, enjoy all of them. But take time to know. Take time to know, because, can I emphasize that? Take time to know the differences in these children. Because most of the time when we don't have sufficient interaction with the children, we just run with the one that is easier.
That's true.
And then we rally all the others to be
like the one that is easier.
Take time to know the beauty in every child. Every person has their beautiful side. Every person, including yourself and myself as a parent, we also have our ugly side. But take time to know that beauty. Now, on this note, I actually want to recommend a resource to parents. There's this resource that is that focuses on us parents emphasizing the good, what's right with you, not what's wrong with you.
Okay.
It's called the Flag Page. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's a tool that helps parents to discover to discover their children, to know what, because sometimes we take it casually, but that level of detail, to know what the gifts that each child has, and building on those gifts to help them overcome, suppress the negative. So the science of it is that when we use what we call positive reinforcement,
Yes.
oh, you're good about this. Like I'll tell my son, you're really, really an excellent speaker.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to focus more on how he's great.
Yeah.
And he's going to put energy in the right side.
Yes.
And then he's also going to say, I don't want this to affect my brand.
This other thing, yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah.
So positive reinforcement always helps individuals to overcome negativity.
That's true.
So instead of focusing on what's wrong with you, how can you do this, doesn't look good on you, make sure on the larger part you're saying you're so good here, you're so good here. So you give that kind of validation, that affirmation that helps a child to be energized and then shape their own brand. That is very important. But you can only do that if you take time to know what is special about every child.
So would you say that discipline for children with different personalities cuts across?
Yes. Oh, that is important.
Yeah.
When you're disciplining is sometimes we think it's only chiboko or what. Now, disciplining is actually helping a child to overcome
Wrongdoing.
Yeah. Now, when we are disciplining, there are certain things that cut across. Don't embarrass, don't do this, don't. But you have to be sensitive.
Yeah.
For instance, if you embarrass, if you belittle a melancholic.
Oh, a melancholic. Really?
If you belittle them and you give them a sense of,
what was that?
What's that?
Yeah.
You're not good enough. It will crush them. So the approach each person or each parent applies will determine whether a child will be motivated to be better or be crushed. Now, a sanguine, you can risk with them and say things because they easily shed things off. They don't take things to heart most of the time. They are easily forgiving and all, but not a melancholic.
Gotcha.
So when you're disciplining, be careful. Be careful. No child wants harsh words, killer words, but for certain personalities, be careful. You see, the approach.
Yeah.
And of course, it's very important also to pick this child and talk to them and help them understand. For instance, melancholic again, explain to them. Don't just tell them, how can you do that to this family? You go like, what do you mean?
There has to be a systematic explanation.
So there has to be a systematic explanation, especially on how what they've done affects them as an individual, not you. Because they can easily see, am I living for you? No, I'm shaping my own brand.
My own brand, yes, and path.
You see? Yeah. Now, children like cholerics, who have so much energy, achievement-oriented and all, when they make a mistake, again, remember they want to achieve. Achievement motivates them. So when you're disciplining them, again, don't kill them, don't crush their spirit. Yeah, make sure that, yes, you're showing them how they've fallen short, but not in a way that kills their whole...
Their sense of achievement.
Their sense of achievement, their entire vibration. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. So it is important that parents are considerate. The quiet ones, we easily lose them. We can just howl things at them and they'll keep quiet. But it doesn't mean that they are not recalling what you have taught them.
Oh, they are.
You know?
They definitely are.
Yeah, they can hide and cry and still show you they are okay.
When they're not, something in them is broken. Yeah. So I feel like if you're a parent and you're watching this show, it's in, first of all, educating yourself. You need to understand what these personalities are and then determine where your children fall and the best way to approach handling conflict, encouraging them to be their best selves, handling, discipline as well. I think that is very, very important. As we bring this to a close, Dr. Evers, I want you to speak to, again, a parent who is probably watching on how they can ensure that their children feel seen, heard, and valued. I don't know if we can ever be equal completely, but what's that one or two things that you want them to walk away with to say, this is what I'm going to try and do? I know some parents take their children on dates, individually, and maybe that's some sort of strategy that will help each of their children feel seen and heard. But what else can parents do to ensure that there's some level of equality?
Number one, to be neutral in the way we connect with children, not to show preferences.
Favoritism.
I pray that any parent watching this show, please, as much as possible. I pray about it, I try as much as possible, and I'm sure all of us can try. The last thing a child needs to see in a parent is preferential treatment. In which, to whichever degree, can be as little as this, you don't want. I know that it's very hard. Sometimes maybe we can get inclined towards one child and not the other, but let's be deliberate. Let's be intentional about not bringing that, because that's the number one sin that children cannot forgive about us. So be neutral. Be neutral. Speak truth to this if you have to. Also speak truth to this one if you have to. Because if a child detects that this person gets away with things because their daddy's favorite.
Or they're louder.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
That's not nice. Yeah. So maintaining a neutral stand, knowing that you are a parent to all these children. Yeah. Very, very important. Yeah. Number two, to know that every child is normal. Whether they have weaknesses, who doesn't have them? Who doesn't? This child, even them, Jesus died for them. You see? So there is no weakness that a child has that should be magnified beyond that. So we should label them and tell them how weak they are. Or no, we need to know that every child has strength and weaknesses, and we need to approach them that way. Emphasizing the uniqueness of a child is important, because that uniqueness also helps children to know that they are great. The fact that I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm ignored. Then to see that mommy or daddy reaches out, checks in on me, even when I say a few things, it's very important. The loud one, the one who is expressive, yes, mommy pays attention to that as well, without comparing me to the quiet one. So the uniqueness of every child, parents, let's pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Extremely important.
Yeah.
And always remember that there is no mistake or weakness that cannot be corrected. Let's not give up on our children. I think for me that's the biggest message. Just because they are different from us, let's not send them to our partners. Happen
To your father.
Me, I don't give birth. Our side doesn't have such.
The things we say.
Oh,
Tisk. Thank you so much. I've actually learned quite a lot. I've always heard about personalities, but I think that was when I was much younger, and I never really paid attention. I just always thought I'm introverted, and there are certain things about my introvertedness that I like, and there are things that I don't like.
yes.
But as you were speaking, I'm like, okay, now I kind of see where I fall, and then I'm also thinking about my child and where he falls, and how now I need to educate myself on, raising him and parenting him based on his personality. So
That's right.
I have learned just as much as you have. So thank you, Dr. Evers, for this session. I think once again another insightful conversation, and I hope that you can agree. If you do, please let us know in our comment section, and let us know what you have learned, perhaps an area you feel like we didn't really tackle very well, that you'd have wanted more information. We can always come back to these conversations with a fresh perspective. So until next week, stay well, stay healthy. Don't forget to drop by Suma Coffee and Wellness Center, Coffee House and Wellness Center, and get yourself some amazing supplements, healthy juices and smoothies, and a wonderful quiet workspace. There's a breeze up here and amazing food as well. We'll be back next week. Until then, bye-bye.